Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing an old school girl talk chit chat. Get ready with me. I have not done one of these in a long time and I just got my camera back, so I was excited to sit down and do just like a fun and easy chill video for you today. And I honestly haven't put makeup on in like a week, so I've been dying to do this. But I'm sharing with you some of my go-to products lately, some things that I'm really loving, especially an eyeshadow palette that I just have been loving and can't put down. That eyeshadow palette being the Tarte Man Eater. This is the volume 2. It's exactly the same as the original. They just added a black, but I did not get it the first time that it came out, and I was really bummed once they discontinued it. So when I heard they were coming out with it again, I had to get it. And y'all, it's so good. When I first purchased this, it was only available on the Tarte website, but it's now at Ulta, and it's not a super expensive palette. It's really cute and compact, and it literally has the best colors in it, the best colors. So I'm using this today just to create a really easy, simple and pretty, but sultry and sexy eye look, and using some of my favorite face products. So I hope you guys enjoy. We're gonna go ahead and get started. If you wanna see me do my makeup and have a little girl time with me, then just go ahead and keep watching. Hey guys, it feels so good to be back and sitting down here and gonna get ready and do my makeup and just chit chat with you guys today. First of all, I need to, spot my Fitbit. I got a Fitbit for my birthday. And let's just say I have become obsessed with tracking my workouts, tracking my meals and all that. I've got all my makeup right here for you guys, using some of my go-to products lately, things that I've really been loving and using a lot. I'm gonna start out with the Laura Mercier Hydrating Primer. I love the feel of this. It kind of feels like a skincare product, but I have to be careful not to use too much. I just use a tiny, tiny little bit, because if I use too much, I find that my foundation will slide around a little bit too much throughout the day. But if I use just a little bit, my foundation fits or sits really nicely on top of it. And then a foundation that I have not mentioned yet on my channel is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. It's new to me. I know it's probably not new to a lot of you, but I'm in the shade 4.5. Like the Hourglass Vanish Stick foundation, which I haven't shown you guys that one in action, but I will in my next Get Ready With Me. The shade range is a little odd, so I definitely needed help from the girl at the counter to get my shade right. And honestly, I discovered this shade matching thing on the Temptalia site, and it was a game changer for me. I entered in the shades of like my favorite foundations, and it would tell me the shade to get in other foundations. It was so cool. So I'm just gonna kind of dot this all over, and I do a pump and a half of this. I never really do more than a pump of any foundation, or more than a pump and a half of any foundation, just because for me, if I put too much foundation on, I just don't like the look of it, and it makes it look too heavy. And I'm using the Real Techniques Beauty Sponge. I got a big set of these, a few different ones for Christmas in my stocking from my mother-in-law, and my beauty blender had just run its course. And I used it with this foundation, and it's just a game changer for me, because the first few weeks that I've had this foundation, I honestly thought that it just wasn't gonna work for me. I couldn't find a way to make it work. It kept like getting really patchy here and there. I tried it with my beauty blender, tried it with a brush, tried it with different primers, and I was almost about to give up on it and just say, oh, this just doesn't work for me. But using this with this foundation, I don't know what it is about this sponge, but the foundation works so much better for me. It applies with a higher amount of coverage than the beauty blender for some reason, and it really just helps the foundation to sink into my skin, and I don't have the patchy problems that I did before. So I don't know, it's weird. The Real Techniques sponge is a great sponge. I used to use it all the time, and I kind of swap back and forth between this sponge and the beauty blender. They definitely feel a lot different from one another. The beauty blender is a lot more squishy and soft. The Real Techniques one is a lot more heavy and very dense, but it still applies your foundation and stuff so easy. So if you're looking on ways to save money on your makeup or makeup applications, if you're okay with not having the Beauty Blender, the Real Technique sponge is a great alternative, especially since it saved me and the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, because for whatever reason, it did not work for me with a Beauty Blender or a brush, but the Real Technique sponge, it works real good. And then for concealer, I am using the Tarte Shape Tape. It is my favorite. I see girls a lot of the time use this, like a lot of it all over, and I don't know how they get away with it wearing nicely all day, because this is a very thick concealer. So I cannot use too much of it or I just look so cakey. I don't know how the girls do it, but I just can't use a lot of it. It's just so full coverage. I have a dog hair. It's so full coverage that I don't feel like you need to draw the huge triangle with this concealer. It's just not necessary. And the shade, what shade? I'm in shade light, and it's a great color for me. I used to buy my concealer super, super light, but I don't anymore. I just get it like maybe a half a shade to a shade lighter than my foundation, just so that it does brighten up my under eyes, but it's not like a huge difference. The Real Technique sponge does a good job in blending in this concealer too. It's just a really great alternative. I know some people I've heard really don't like this sponge, but I've used it on and off a lot throughout the last few years, and it really is a nice sponge. I don't know why so many people don't like it. I guess it's just like one of those things, you know? Some things work for certain people and they don't for others, but I am happy to say the Real Technique sponge works great for me. And then I'm gonna set that concealer with the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. And I don't set my whole face with this. I use the Translucent Loose Powder and just tap it in where I put all of my concealer. And then I go in with a foundation powder to set the rest of my face. And then my go-to foundation powder to set the rest of my face is the Benefit Hello Flawless Powder. I have mine in the shade Never Settle Petal. I just really like this foundation powder. I've used it for years, and it's just a really good one. I just love it. It adds a little bit more coverage, adds a little bit of color. It helps my makeup to last all day, and it just like airbrushes out your skin. It's so nice. But I'm always interested in finding new powders. I like this one. I like the Bare Minerals Bare Pro, but I would love to know y'all's favorite foundation powders that you like to use to set, because I always like finding new ones and being able to recommend different ones for everyone. And yeah, I just really, really like this one. It just does a really good job, and it just makes your skin look really, really nice. I don't care for the liquid version of this, but the powder, oh, so good. All right, I'm gonna fill in my brows real quick with the Anastasia Brow Duo. I use mine in the shade Medium Brown. It's just like the perfect tone and shade for me. So I'm gonna fill these brows in and I'll be right back. Okay, brows are on. So I'm gonna move on to bronzing and contouring. And for that, I'm gonna use the Park Ave Princess contour palette from Tarte. I've really, really, really been liking this one. It's so good. So I'm gonna take the Sigma Small Contouring F05 brush, and I typically just mix Princess Cut and Angle, which are the two matte shades in the palette. I'm just gonna mix those, and then I'm just gonna apply those to the hollows of my cheeks to create a contour, just like a very light one. I don't want to be too chiseled. I just don't feel like it's necessary sometimes. Ugh. I'm filming in my living room and I thought somebody was at the door. That would have been really, really awkward. So I hope you guys enjoy these sort of really casual, really chilled out, old school get ready with me's, because I really want to do these a lot more often, maybe once a week, sometimes twice, or not twice a week, once a week or once every 2 weeks. I'm at a point to where I have a really good collection, I feel like, and stuff that's really, really good, and I want to actually use my stuff. So I want to be better about using the stuff that I have for a long time and showing you guys different looks with different things. So I really want to start doing these a lot more, sharing, you know, just the stuff that I use often and all the time, instead of always going out and buying new stuff. Not saying I won't go shopping, but just using stuff that I have in my collection more. And I recently opened up a Poshmark, and I've cleaned out a lot of my makeup. A lot of it's gently used, practically brand new. And I've already sold a couple palettes. I've sold my 2 Charlotte Tilbury palettes and the Tartelette Toasted palette so far. But I will leave my closet name for Poshmark here on the screen. But yeah, I just looked at my name. It's CaseyFerg_XOXO is my closet name if you want to check it out. But I've got eyeshadow palettes on there and blushes and all kinds of stuff. And then I'm gonna take this little Real Techniques setting brush. I really like using this as my nose contour. And I'm gonna just gently contour my nose. I mixed those same 2 colors. What is it? Princess Cut and Angle from the palette. I'm gonna contour my nose with it. I'm gonna take a stippling brush and just go over everything. Make sure there's no like weird lines. Everything is smooth and seamless before I add a little bit of bronzer. For bronzer, I'm gonna take the shade Carrot in the palette, which is the lighter of the shimmer shades. And I'm gonna use my MAC 135 brush, just get a little bit on there and just kind of bronze up. Add a little bit of extra color and a little bit of shimmer to my cheeks, on my forehead. This is just a really nice all-in-one palette for bronzing and contouring. Make sure it matches my neck as it clinkles on my earrings. Bronzer's good. And I don't know about y'all, but I can never make the brightening powders in any contour palette work. I don't know why. I think they're just always way too heavy for me, but I can never, ever make them work. It's kind of frustrating because no matter what palette it is, Anastasia, that one. The Kat Von D, I could use those powders a little bit, but they always ended up creasing on me too. I don't know what the deal is. Anyways, we're gonna move on to some blush. And this is the Charlotte Tilbury First Love blush. Love this blush. That's why it's called First Love. It's literally, if I lost every single blush in my collection and I could only buy one more, it would be this one. So I'm just gonna kind of tap all over, apply it to my cheeky cheeks. It's such a nice color. Literally, you could have one blush in your collection and it'd be this, and it would go with everything. Everything, everything. For highlight, I'm using the Hourglass Strobe Lighting Palette, and I'm gonna take the shade on the far, what is it? It's my right, your left, I guess, and just apply that. Look how pretty that is. That is just, I love this palette. These highlighters are so nice and just so glossy and pretty. Oh no. Hold please, I'm using natural light and there's a giant cloud over my house right now. Better? Looks a little better now, so I'm gonna continue. But yes, we're using natural light, guys, so if the lighting is changing, I apologize, but it's real life, real life. Now we're gonna move on to eyes, and I'm gonna use the Tarte Man-Eater. Gosh, this lighting is driving me nuts. But I'm gonna use the Tarte Man-Eater palette. When I mentioned this in my favorites video, it was not in Ulta yet, but it's now in Ulta, so you can find it. And I just love this little palette. It is such a good little palette, oh my goodness. It's so good. It's got the best colors in it. I've been using it a lot. I just really like it. I did not get it when the first rounds of the palettes were out. And I didn't really think at the time that I needed it. I loved it and I always looked at it in stores. Okay, my lighting's coming back. But I never got it. So I was bummed when it was discontinued that I didn't get it because I had always thought about it. So when I saw that they were coming out with like a revamped version, basically it's all the same colors except they added a black. So now it's just like the perfect little palette. So I'm gonna take this middle shade, it's called Purr, on this big fluffy brush. It's the Sigma E40. And I'm just gonna pop that in my crease. So yeah, I'm just gonna apply this in my crease. It's such a nice color. I'm gonna move it over my lid too. I like all of the colors that I put on my eyes to somewhat blend together, just cause it like airbrushes it out a little bit. But this is such a nice crease color. It's like a mauve-y nude, and it's just so pretty. I have green eyes, so I feel like it looks really, really good with green eyes, but I feel like it would look good on literally anybody. It's such a nice little color. This palette is just the best. It's not super expensive compared to a lot of other palettes. It's really small and compact, so you can take it anywhere. I know it's about to be summertime, so when you're like going on little vacations and stuff, it's so easy to take in. I'm just gonna use the same brush and go into the next shade over, which is called Saucy. And this look is just something that's really, really pretty and somewhat sultry and sexy because it is a little bit smoky, but it's so easy. I'm not doing any eyeliner today. And this is something that when I want to get ready and not have to think about what I'm doing, I'll just do it. And I'm always happy with the result. This is pretty much what I did whenever me and Kevin went to Nashville. Because when I'm not talking and explaining everything that I'm doing or showing everything that I'm doing, I can do this look in like 10 minutes. And it's great, saves a lot of time. And I'm gonna switch my brushes. I'm gonna go in with the MAC 242 and go into the shade Lace. Lace is a little bit chunky and glittery, but it's a really pretty color. So I like to use this as my brow bone and inner corner highlight. I'm just sure to tap it off first because it is kind of glittery and I worry about it getting in my eyes, but once you tap off the excess, you don't really have to worry about any sort of fallout or that happening at all. Then I'm gonna take my Sigma pencil brush and I'm gonna mix Purr and Saucy together and line my lower lash line with that and connect it to the outer corner just so it all kind of works and flows together. And adding that lower lash line really like sexes it up, makes it like really smoky and pretty and sexy. I am going to curl my lashes. I always curl my lashes, and I typically prime my lashes too, but I am out of my lash primer today, so we're just gonna be using a regular mascara. But my favorite lash primer is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Primer. It's so good. It makes my lashes look really thick and fluffy. But for mascara, I'm using the Lancome Monsieur Big. And when I first got this mascara, I didn't really care for it because it's more of a wet formula. But after it's been open for a couple of weeks and it starts to dry out a little bit, I like it much better. I just don't like super wet mascaras because I have long eyelashes, and if I use too wet of a formula, I get mascara everywhere. And I always get mascara on my lids. It's so frustrating because I'll try to be so careful, but I always get mascara there. So after it dries, I have to go in with a Q-tip and clean it off. While my mascara is drying, before I can clean it up, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about a new brow product. This is a brow gel, and it's the Double Duty Beauty Busy Gal Brows by Tarte. And I have mine, what shade is mine? Medium brown. And I forever have been a huge fan of the brow gel from Benefit, but they discontinued it or something for a little bit, and I don't really care for the Anastasia brow gels. And I saw this one when I was perusing around Ulta, decided to try it, and y'all, I think it beats the Benefit brow gel big time. I can't think of the name of the Benefit brow gel that I'm talking about, but I'll leave it on the screen. It's got the tiniest little wand and the color is perfect. And I've used this without filling in my brows, just to add a little bit of color and brush my brows through, and it looks so good by itself too. And it's such a great color. I have a really hard time finding good colors on brow products because sometimes they're just way too warm for me and my hair is a bit of an ashier brown. So sometimes brow gels that are for brunettes are a little too warm and the taupe colors are a little too gray. So I'm like somewhere in the middle. Similar with foundations, I'm more of a neutral skin tone. I'm not super yellow, but I'm not super pink either. So I kind of like need something in the middle. And that's kind of how I am with brows too. Set my brows. It's such a nice brow gel. I love how tiny the wand is. It's so good. If you have, I haven't heard hardly anybody talk about this, but it's new from Tarte. It's the Busy Gal brow gel. So good. I think they have 3 different colors, but you should check it out. It's really good. If you like the Benefit brow gel, you will love this little guy. Let's move on to lips, which is one of the last things that we've got going on here before we're all done. I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nudes lip liner, or Iconic Nude, not nudes. It's a really nice nude liner without being too brown and without being too pink. It's just really nice, and it's not too light either. It just gives you like a nice defined lip. And then for lipstick, I'm gonna use two. The first one is Ophelia from Kat Von D. This is one of the studded Kiss cream lipsticks. These lipsticks are nice and pigmented and creamy, and these two colors are now in lipstick formula, which I'm using today, but they're my favorite colors in liquid lipstick form as well. And I could just leave it like this, but I don't want it super nude. I wanna add a little bit more pink to it. So just like what I do with the liquid lipsticks, I'm gonna add Muñeca on top to lighten and brighten it up a little bit. I know mixing lip products and mixing lipsticks and stuff can be a little bit high maintenance sometimes, but I love the color that these two create when they're put together. This is my favorite nude lip combination. This and then the Kim KW and Pillow Talk lip liner from Charlotte Tilbury. That lip combo and then this lip combo here is just my favorite. I like it in the cream form, and I also like it in the liquid lip formula as well. Just depending on what look I'm going for that day, I'll do super matte or I'll do the more comfortable cream. But I just love this lip combo. It's so nice, and the lip liner just complements it so well. So yeah, this is the final look, and this is going to be it for today's video. I had a lot of fun just spending a little girl time with you guys, sitting down, sharing with you some of my favorite products and one of my favorite go-to looks that's pretty simple and easy, but still has that sultry and sexy vibe. So I hope you enjoyed spending this time with me today, watching me do my makeup and sharing with you some of my favorite products. If you want to see more videos like this from me, then be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys again in my next one. Bye.